topic being the disbandment. Starting from paragraph 107, you talk about the fact that the issue relating to the minister's instruction to disband the task team started at a time when you were on leave in December to January. If you could just take the commission through that.
Thanks, Commissioners. And paragraph 107 of my statement, my involvement in the events unfolded in December 2024 to early January 2025, commenced while I was on annual leave from the 30th of December 2024 to 14 January 2025. So on the 28th of December 2024, I was attending an official funeral of a captain in Eskaweni, Richards Bay, with the Minister of Police. We had an opportunity to engage. We had engaged on other matters during that day.
Sorry, there's a point there that you make that annual leave had been approved by the minister.
Oh, yes, the annual leave, yes, was approved by the minister himself, yes.
So he was aware that you were on leave?
He was aware that I will be going on leave from that day,
okay,
of the 28th.
Yes, you met at that funeral on 28 December 2024, and you said you had an opportunity to engage. Then, if you can proceed to 108.
Yeah, despite this, at no point during our interaction did the minister indicate any intention to disband the PKTT, let alone immediately or express concerns about its operations. This lack of prior warning made the subsequent developments all the more unexpected and perplexing, as there had been no communication or indication suggesting that such a drastic decision is imminent.
Can I just ask you maybe to pause there, to say up to that point, in other words, from the date of the 28th of December when you last saw the minister before the instruction was issued, and going backwards from the time when the minister was appointed into office, had the minister expressed any dissatisfaction or concern about the PKTT and its activities and that it was not performing satisfactorily?
No, he never expressed any dissatisfaction or unhappiness. Hence, he was not even yet briefed about what PKTT is and what it does.
Okay, I think you deal with that in the paragraphs that follow. If you can then deal with 109.
This is so embarrassing. So Senzo Mkhunu issued instructions to disband the PKTT when he knew Masemola was going to be on holidays from the 30th of December all the way until the 14th. They had eye-to-eye conversations. They spoke about other things within the police department at the funeral just 2 days before he went on leave. But this is the part that really took me off guard. The fact that the police minister disbanded the PKTT or made instructions to disband the PKTT, even though he doesn't know what it does. Even though he's never been briefed on it. Absolutely shocking. Sir, who told you there's a problem with the PKTT? Why does this scream Shadrach Sevilla all over? Because Masemola thinks he hasn't been briefed. What he doesn't know is that Shadrach Sevilla has a direct line to the minister. Of course, Brown Mokhotsi, Kat Matlala. You know what? We are not there. Let's continue listening on.
On the 2nd of January 2025, I received a WhatsApp message from Major General Sebula regarding a letter from the minister. Major General Sebula is working in my office as the executive manager. It has come, I had not seen the letter at that stage. The WhatsApp contained the letter from the minister addressed to me, dated 31st December 2024. The letter is attached as SFM 9.
Yes. Can I ask you to go to file 2, Masemola 2? If you're on 373, you'll see there the subject is a letter to Netcom, and it's an email from one Nkabinde CM dated 31 December 2024. Good afternoon, National Commissioner General Masemola. Please find the attached letter from the minister for your urgent attention. That is dated the 31st of December. And you indicate that you received it on the 2nd by way of a WhatsApp. And you mentioned this on paragraph 109 of your statement. Is that correct?
That is correct, Commissioner.
Okay. And before dealing with the contents of the letter, to go back to your paragraph 109, you continue, you say, I did not fully appreciate the significance of the letter because, as I said, I was on leave. And you then deal with the 3 topics that are addressed by that letter. If I can ask you then to turn to the letter at 374, you will see the heading. The heading is Directives on Matters Relating to Crime Intelligence, Port of Entry and Political Killings Task Team. And the first issue is filling of posts in the Intelligence Division. The second is Port of Entry. And if you turn over the page, the third one is the Political Killings Task Team. And if I can ask you to deal with that issue that the minister was addressing in 2019. Please proceed from there.
Yeah, the letter reads as follows on paragraph 3, political killings task team. In 2019, a directive was made to the National Commissioner of Police following the Moerane Commission report, even though not flowing directly from such, that an interministerial task force be established. The key mandate was to stop, investigate, resolve unresolved matters of politicians in the country, especially in KwaZulu-Natal. My observation in this regard, as indicated above, is that further existence of this team is no longer required, nor is it adding any value to policing in South Africa. I therefore direct that the political killings task team be disestablished immediately. Further, that a preliminary report in this regard be submitted to the Minister by the 20th of January 2025. The final and closing report must be submitted to the Ministry Management Executive Committee meeting late January 2025, the date of which will be communicated as soon as possible. You are sincerely signed, Minister of Police, Mr. E.S. Mkhunu MP, dated 31st of 2024.
Now, with reference to the instruction that the minister is giving, what is your view when the minister says, I therefore direct that the political killing task team be disestablished immediately? Does that constitute policy or direction by the minister? If yes, why? If not, why not?
Yeah, my interpretation is that, well, it's a, it is a direction, is a directive that actually deals with the work of the National Commissioner, meaning that I take it as an encroachment in the operational activities of the organization, SAPS, because it's going as far as even saying the when must it be done, must be disbanded, moreover, without knowing, even not knowing the reasons why. So yes, I, in terms of, if you take it in terms of the Constitution, I definitely regard this as an overreach to the functions of the National Commission. Let's say my interpretation as a person maybe was wrong to say maybe this is still part of a direction. Then I'll have a problem where he says it must be done immediately, which is the how part. He could have left that to the National Commission. But now in this case, even where one doesn't know why, would you go as far as disbanding a team of this nature? Because for me, it flies in the face of Section 2053, where it says the police must, part of the function is to investigate crime. So if you stop the investigation of crime, I don't know now, what do you expect police to do?
Just to make sure that I understand, you emphasize the how. I do not know whether you are suggesting that there wasn't necessarily a problem with the disbandment instruction itself, or was there?
Commissioner, there was also a concern about the disbandment. What informed the disbandment?
Okay. But would it, all things being equal, and assuming that you had no problem with what informed it, would it have been a lawful instruction? Disband the PKTT, would that have been a lawful instruction, all things being equal?
In other words, is it still part of policy direction?
To say disband no, that's for me, that's an overreach, that's an operational matter. So it wouldn't. Rather, if ever there is any problem, it should have been discussed.
In short then, with or without the how, the instruction was unlawful?
Yes, my interpretation is correct, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mutaru.
Well, as a member of the public jury, let me tell you my interpretation of that letter is the word immediately. This letter is dated the 31st of December 2024. These using the words disestablish the PKTT immediately. That time immediately, Masemola is on holidays. And Senzo Mchunu approved the holiday, so he knows he's not there. And just to put a cherry on the top of the cake, he then says, I want a report by the 20th of Jan 2025. So Masemola was going to be back on the 14th of January 2025. So he had 6 days to disband this entire political killing test team. What? Or was the expectation for him to not go, to cancel his entire holiday, his leave? Or basically they just hoped he wasn't going to see it in time. I don't know. Or is this where Shadrach Sibia gets an in and says, I am going to execute. Don't worry about it. I'm here for the job. I'm the man. Let's continue listening on.
Yeah, paragraph 110. However, it seemed that the matter could not wait. I received a call from Lieutenant General Mkwana the same day, 2nd January 2025. He told me that he saw in the media a letter from the minister to me to disband the PKTT. I informed him that I am on leave until 14 January 2025 and had not had any opportunity to consider the contents of the letter from the minister, but that I was aware of it. I made it clear to Lieutenant General Mkonazi that I had nothing to do with the disbandment, and I informed him that the minister never sought any advice before taking the decision. Given the fact that the minister was instructing, not soliciting our views of the disbandment of the PKTT, I deemed it necessary to speak to the President about the issue. I spoke to the President on the 1st of February 2025. During this meeting, I mentioned the Minister's directive to disband such a successful team, and the President told me that he would speak to the Minister. Of course, I didn't really require from the President to say whether I agree or not, but I did tell him that this team is being dissolved, reason unknown, and I said, if ever it has to be done, it cannot even be done in this abrupt manner, because I don't know what we are chasing. And that's when he says, no, he will speak to the Minister.
Yes, then 112, you say at a later stage?
At a later stage, the President did inform me that he did discuss the issue with the Minister. He did not inform me on what details they discussed. But later I did. That's why later then by that time I already submitted a report to the Minister, the one that was due on the 20th, where I described, or I was explaining to the Minister that if you disband this team, this is the best way on the how part. And I described that it should be a wind down and it should be a phased out approach and not this abrupt. But still, as and when we meet, I kept on asking the Minister, but what is the reason for the disbandment of the team? I never really got a real reason as to why.
One thing that is going to be absolutely interesting is to listen to Senzo Mchunu read that letter into the record. Let us know who briefed him about the PKTT, how he linked it to the 2019, because the PKTT was not formed in 2019 or as a result of that other commission, but it was formed before in 2018. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the results of when you're not briefed by the appropriate person in SAPS. This is embarrassing, to say the least. And again, this is still one-sided, right? We have not heard from Mchunu. And it's going to be a while before we do. So that's why I do these videos, so that we can refer back to them when the time comes, because to sieve through the 6-hour video is going to be a long thing to do. So please go ahead, hit that like button, and let's continue. Wow.
It is important to note that the PKTT had proven to be an essential unit in managing political-related cases, particularly during periods of heightened tension such as election cycles. The abrupt directive to dissolve the team not only disregarded ongoing investigation processes, but also undermined the collaborative effort that were in place to ensure justice and stability in affected regions. This decision, taken without prior consultation or warning, created significant uncertainty amongst key stakeholders like your NPA and the risk disrupting the momentum of crucial investigations. What refers, commissioners, is that this team had a team of, the PKTT had a team of prosecutors that were assisting the team, guiding them with the investigation. So when all of a sudden there's abrupt decision to disband abruptly, then you leave them uncertain, not knowing what is happening. And of course, the work that they were doing also from their side, it means, is left incomplete because they were not regarded or consulted when this decision was taken. Yeah, the investigations that were still pending, let's say partially had bails and cases that were before court and so on. So that is one of the areas that were not taken care of in the letter. And as I said, the prosecutors from NPA were also not consulted. So does it mean they remain in the province of KwaZulu-Natal or they must go? So that raises questions. And also, the impact on the cases itself will definitely be problematic because I also still going to court and there must have been partially had cases and follow up on prosecutors' instruction by investigators that still have to be done. So those means would have all been disrupted in the main. Since the letter required a report to be prepared by, progress report be prepared by 20th of January 2025, and given that I was still on leave up to 14 January 2025, I instructed a Brigadier Letoko in my office to forward all those letters from the minister to all the deputies, including General Sibia, to instruct them to prepare the necessary reports. My intention was to discuss the matter with the minister to understand his reasons and attempt to dissuade him.
Yeah, to dissuade him.
Dissuade him. However, the letter contained an instruction to prepare reports that were due by 20th of January 2025. Of course, if I refused to carry out that instruction, I would have been accused of insubordination, since all that was required, insofar as the instruction was concerned, was the preparation of the reports, which I then allowed the officials at my office to start doing while I was still on leave.
And if I can just ask there, to clarify, when you say the refusal to prepare a report could possibly result in the minister accusing you of insubordination, what do you mean by that?
I'm meaning that, well, he want a progress report by 20th of January, but he want also the immediate disbandment, which by design, it looks like it was designed that it happened while I was still on leave. So I said to the officials that no, prepare the reports, but no disbandment, because the date for the first report is 20th of January, and I'll be back by the 14th. So all I'm saying is, if I didn't do anything, probably the minister would have said, yeah, no, this one is not taking my instructions. Hence I said, no, prepare the reports, I'll see them when I come back. That the team be disestablished immediately, well, that I didn't comply with, and I told them nothing should have. Maybe that was the plan that it happened while I was on leave, but I said to them nothing happened to the team. They can start preparing reports on the team.
Here's what I'm trying to understand. You have said now more than once that an instruction to disband would be unlawful, or once given, it was unlawful. Now, it doesn't quite make sense to me that you would have feared insubordination if asked to make a progress report, that's how I understand you, on a disbandment that is unlawful. Why did you not say, Minister, your disbandment instruction is unlawful? Therefore, I cannot make a progress report on something that is unlawful.
Well, that I didn't say. I just said to the team, prepare whatever report, but compliance to that immediate disestablishment, you just don't do that one until I come back.
I actually agree with Masemola and the steps that he took thus far, telling the team, go ahead, prepare the fake reports, I'll handle. Okay, face to face when I am back from leave. But right now I'm on leave. There's no way I can tackle this. This is a huge thing. I cannot break my leave to come back, speak to Umkunu and tell him, sir, this is unlawful. Obviously, at the time, I didn't want him to think I am being, unruly, not following instructions and giving the minister something to hop on because clearly he's up to something. I am suspicious. So let me come back from leave. Let me let everything proceed as if we are following instructions. And then once I get there, I'll be able to handle, as opposed to disbanding a whole team and he's not even there. That's insanity to me. But let's continue listening on.
I returned to the office on the 14th of January 2025. And late in the afternoon, I had a discussion with Lieutenant General Sibia. He presented a plan or a letter to me on how to close the PKTT in line with the directive of the minister. I was, however, not satisfied with that proposed plan because it contained, most importantly, it contained this immediate disestablishment. And I informed him, General Sibia, that it would be responsible to summarily disband the PKTT and remove case dockets from them, as it will have a detrimental effect on the investigation of the cases. It will cause problems, complications in relation to the prosecution of matters already in court, and it will detrimentally affect witnesses in witness protection and families that were affected by these killings. I instructed General Sibia that the PKTT should be wound down in a phased approach without compromising the proper execution of our police duties, if ever it has to be done. And which I then instructed him to go and rework on this plan. And I further directed him to another Major General to go and assist him in developing something of a phased out approach.
Yes.
General, now you're talking winding down. You actually repeat this further on, paragraph 131. You say, importantly, insofar as the way forward is concerned, this is 131, we had proposed that the following steps be taken to wind down the PKTT. And in 131.2, you say the 128 dockets that were still, no, I'm looking at the wrong paragraph. 131.3, you say no new dockets would be taken by or allocated to the PKTT. So what you say in 116 ties in with what you say in 131 and 131.3. But all that tells me is that you had basically accepted that the PKTT be disbanded. Your difference with the minister and indeed even Lieutenant General Sibia was whether this should be immediate, which is what the minister and Lieutenant General Sibia wanted, or it should be a phased process, which is what you preferred. Now you have said that the instruction to disband was unlawful. Can you explain why you accepted that there be a disbandment, but that it be a phased process?
So I agree with Madlanga on this point. You can't be on one hand saying, yeah, just do the reports, and when I come back, I'll tackle Senzo Mchunu, and then you come back, and then Sivia rushes into your office and presents you a report, and then you say, no, this doesn't work. I want it face down, or go and adjust it. Why waste resources when you know you are not approving with this, and also that it's unlawful? I think he was dragging his feet. This is some of the examples where I say Masemola, his leadership and conflict resolution skills are lacking. This is a huge example. And I agree with Madlanga with his question. Point on. Why would you even go through this whole, jigsaw puzzle, vicious circle, when you know it's unlawful? When is the minister going to be told this is an unlawful activity? I don't want to be a part of it.
Yeah, thanks, Commissioner. After, of course, talking to the minister, looking for an ear to explain this matter further, to understand why is he doing what he's doing. At some point then, I had no alternative left but to say, well, if ever it has to go to a way of disbandment. In other words, I'm giving in, but not in his approach, but on my approach, to say, let then the team be wound down if ever it has to be disbanded. So, and in the absence of a hearing by him, because since that time we never discussed it, he agreed that he will make time that we discuss this matter. But that time didn't come, even though I know I met him on the 16th of January, and we discussed other matters. When we come to this one, he says, no, let's wait for the report of the 20th. So that's what I'm saying is that at this point in time, yes, in a way I'm giving into his instruction, but I say, not your way, but my way. And that's where then still there was no agreement on that.
I do not understand that, General. Remember, right at the beginning, I asked you this, and I even said, I was first hypothetical, as it were, and then I said, I will ask you, as General Masemola, a direct question. And I said, if the minister were to give you an instruction that strays onto your purview of functions, would you obey that? And you said you would disobey that. Do you remember giving me that answer right at the beginning?
Yeah, correct, Commissioner.
Now, why is it that once confronted with what you say was an unlawful instruction from the minister, you relented. Can you explain that? Especially regard being heard to what you say at paragraph 161 of your affidavit. In fact, paragraphs 161 and 188. You say, I'm sorry. You say at paragraph 161, the decision to disband the PKTT in KZN was fundamentally an operational matter, falling squarely within the purview of the National Commissioner, who is responsible for the management and strategic deployment of policing resources. The effect of that is that the instruction was unlawful. The minister was not legally entitled to have given that instruction. Do you agree that that is the effect of this? Paragraph 161.
I do agree, Commissioner.
All right, let me take you to 188. There you say, in respect of the minister, knowing what I now know, what I consider to be irrational and inexplicable, and I emphasize what follows, encroachment into operational issues is now explained, blah, blah, blah. But what I focus on is you say the minister was encroaching onto your area of function. Now, just tell me how, especially in the face of what you said at the beginning, which is that you would not obey an unlawful instruction from the minister. Now, you say in so many ways that this was unlawful. Unlawful, why? Because it strayed onto your area of function. So why do you now suddenly talk the language of winding down in a phased manner and no new dockets are to be given to the PKTT? Effectively, you are relenting to an unlawful instruction. And you have told us at the beginning, you will never do that. You will disobey an unlawful instruction. Can you please explain yourself?
And there you have it, Madlanga holding him to book. You can't say unlawful, you can't say encroachment, you can't say you will disobey, and then you come back from holidays and you say, yeah, unwind, guys, winding down. Give me the reports, but you're not actually doing what you said you would do. Disobey. Why is that? And I think Madlanga did a good job holding him to book, making him answer specifically why. Because for me, it's quite confusing, if I'm being honest. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is a characteristic of Masemola's leadership, weak leadership style, in my opinion. Okay, don't get upset, but I'm basing my opinion on what I'm hearing just from this Madlanga Commission. So I'm not just making this up in my mind. And I imagine, or I interpret this to mean, the people that work with him closely notice this, and that is how Sevilla walks all over him and disregards him and goes straight to the minister. Let's continue on and hear if he recovers with this response.
Thanks, Commissioner. Well, if you look back on the letter, it did say disestablish immediately. I refused to do that, hence I said to my team, don't do it. I come back, I seek audience. The audience don't come, and eventually when it comes, it's still insistence on do established. And by that time, of course, I'm not aware of that the December operation gave effect to the disestablishment of the team. But of course, I'm seeking answers, why is this team being established? And I've got no other assistance where to go to. I've got this team, I've got this minister, and he insists on this establishment.
General, if it's unlawful, it's unlawful.
I agree, Commissioner.
So I just do not get you. I do not follow you. It's unlawful, and you told us this morning that if an unlawful instruction were to issue from the minister, you would disobey it. Now, here's one. It's unlawful at paragraph 161 and at paragraph 188 of your affidavit. You say the instruction was unlawful. So why obey it if you've told us that you would not obey an unlawful instruction? It's a simple question. I don't quite get your answer.
Okay. No, I agree, Commissioner. I do understand what the Commissioner is saying. That, yes, I said I will not agree to it. But what I'm saying is that if you were sitting in my position where I was, and this minister is insistent, without the hindsight of knowing later, because the Commissioner now is advantage in that you have got the before I know the December operation of the 6th, how it impacted on the disestablishment. And also, me say, no, I'm not going to comply with this instruction, which I did to an extent, made sure the team is not disestablished immediately, that I was successful. And eventually, without any other help, and with this minister here in front of me, insisting, I had to end up saying, well, if we do it your way, I don't accept, but let's rather do it my way. Probably as we go along, I might find motive, and kept on saying, but Minister, why are you disestablishing this team? I kept asking that question all the time. I did acknowledge, Commissioner, that yes, initially I refused not to comply with his instruction. But after having no any other way, and life goes on, this man is there in front of me, he wants the team disestablished, there's no any other help. So what do I do? The only way that I did was, no, if you do that, you do it my way, not your way. Because
maybe then, I hope I won't sound as being facetious. Maybe then you should have qualified your answer of this morning and say, I would not obey an unlawful instruction unless the minister breathes down my neck.
Unless?
The minister breathes down my neck.
Okay. I hear, Commissioner. The positions that we find ourselves as government officials, well, I'm sure the commissioners are prerogative where they are sitting. We go through things.
As a follow-up to your discussion with the chair, what is available to you, whether from your employment terms, whether the laws that govern your position and policies, what is available to you as a mechanism should you disagree with the minister, for example, on a decision such as this? Is there anything available structurally that allows you to escalate the matter or to pursue a particular cause to get resolution, other than trying to meet with the minister? Is there structurally anything that you can do about it?
Yeah, well, the only avenue I know is the president. Other than that, well, in this case, General Mkonazi did report to the Portfolio Committee on Police. There was no assistance. So, I don't know. Basically, I can't take my own minister to court.
Yes.
So there's no any other avenue.
You went to the president. You did speak to the president.
Yes, I
about
did
it.
speak to.
Thank you.
And I can't go to court, taking the same minister to court. There was no such a room.
But was it an option for you to say, I'm not going to do it at all? You remember what the chair asked? The chair said, he asked you earlier on whether would you obey an unlawful instruction by a minister, and you said no. And in light of the engagements, he says, perhaps you should have qualified it and said, unless the minister was breathing down my neck, then in that case, I would implement an unlawful instruction. I think that's the import of what the chair was putting to you, that it seems in 116, when you implement this instruction by way of a winding down, it seems to be inconsistent with the earlier answer when you said, but if an instruction is unlawful from a minister, without more, in other words, without qualifying it, you said you wouldn't implement it. Do you understand where the commissioners are coming from?
Yeah, no, I understand where they are coming from, yes.
And
Sorry, Mr. Mtao, can I just to be clear, so that I'm clear what the general is saying. General, how I understand you, you're saying you did not give effect to the instruction of immediate disbandment. So you didn't take any action. All you did was you started preparing a report which would recommend how it should be done. So at no point, as you sit there, at no point did you take steps to disband the team. Am I understanding you correctly?
That's correct.
Thank you.
So what I did was to propose that if we disband, this is the way. And can minister sign that off? The report of the 20th of January, which was submitted 22nd of January. So that wasn't signed off, and we were left, of course, then in a limbo.
so, so the high watermark.
As we are sitting here today, forget about the report. As we are sitting here today, have you disbanded the task team in accordance with the minister's instructions?
No, I've not. I haven't sent out a letter to disband the task team. But however, I'm aware that proposals that have been made here, some people end up starting implementing them. But the task team was never disbanded. That I haven't signed. I kept renewing the authorities for it to continue working.
But you yourself had actually relented. That was my point. You yourself had actually relented and accepted that the PKTT should be disbanded. And I say so for what you stated in the two paragraphs I referred to. I think it was 131 and 131 point something. There you basically accept that the PKTT must go. You say it must be wound down, but it must be wound down in a phased manner. So you may not have gotten to the stage of actually killing it, but you had accepted that it must be killed, but in a phased manner. That's where I am. And you go so far as to say that no new dockers must be given to it. So you've basically accepted the instruction, but it's merely just a question of how this should be implemented. You can only implement a decision if you've accepted it. So that's where I am.
Yeah, correct, Commissioner. Yes, in terms of those proposals, that's what I end up proposing to the minister that, yes, maybe this is the way to go, which was still not accepted.
2 against 1. Commissioner Baloy, Commissioner Kumalo, they get it. They understand, okay, what the battle of the giants was with Masemola and Umchunu and how Masemola came up with this, let me just pretend, unwind situation. However, Commissioner Madlanga, the chair, is not convinced. You can't say you're not going to do something, it's unlawful, and then you prepare steps to do it. And even at that, you stop taking extra dockets. So Madlanga is not convinced with the answer. He's not convinced. Let me know if you think otherwise. But at the same time, also, I want to talk about Shadrach Sibiya. 6th of July 2025. This is the time he ran to Griselda interview and he said, no, Masemola signed a letter. The letter's from Masemola. The letter's from Masemola. Do you guys remember that? And then when Masemola responded a few days later, he's like, I never signed the letter. Show me the signature. This is the background of all that. So, wow. Kuningi, guys, this is a long video. If you've made it this far in the video, please drop me a yellow heart. And thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. I'll catch you on the next upload. Let me not even stretch this any further. Bye.